Welcome everybody back to J Movie Talk MayAction Month for episode 334. This episode, of course, I will be doing my live rewatch of Out of Sight, 1998. Out of Sight. This was always been one of my favorite films growing up as a kid. I should say one of my favorite rewatches as a kid, and even into adulthood. This has been a movie that I've rewatched over the years and everything like that. This movie is just one of those kind of cool movies that I would always watch and just enjoy. And it's actually been a few years I should say, since the last time I watched it from beginning to end. And with it being MayAction, I decided, hey, let me kind of add this to the month as well, and kind of go a little different with a little bit of different action for this episode. So, and also too, I want to do this as more of a live rewatch. So if you are going to be watching along, it is streaming on Prime if you don't own it and everything. So if you want to watch along while I'm watching and talking about the movie, feel free to go ahead. You can go ahead and set it at the 18-second mark, and then I will do a countdown and we will press play together. But before that, just a few things. So this movie, it stars George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez, of course, but this movie has a stacked cast. George Clooney was, a few years back into his movie making run and everything. Jennifer Lopez was making a name for herself at this particular point in time, and they happened to cross paths in this film. But this movie also co-stars Ving Rhames, Don Cheadle, Steve Zahn, Albert Brooks. You have Luis Guzman, Isaiah Washington, Dennis Farina makes an appearance, Catherine Keener, Viola Davis in one of her earlier roles, and there are two surprise appearances in this movie that I'll mention when their parts come up. And I was kind of surprised that they actually showed up in this movie the initial time that I saw it, especially one particular character playing the same character from a different movie and everything, and also how it ties into a broader universe revolving around Elmore Leonard and his novel that this movie is based off of and everything. And just the fact, like I say, George Clooney, he's back into making movies, which George Clooney has an interesting career when you go back and look at it, because initially he was just kind of like popping up in random stuff back in the 80s and everything. The fact that he's in Return of the Killer Tomatoes is always insane to me and stuff. And the fact that he plays the security guard actor that gets murdered at the very beginning of Return to Horror High, and things like that. That was what his filmography was as far as movies. And then of course on TV he was showing up, he was on The Facts of Life, he was on Roseanne, and the fact that he just was like popping up in these random shows. But then it was ER, is where he got that notoriety and popularity, and people just gravitated towards him. And after spending a few seasons on there, he said, let me try this movie thing again. And it's ironic that From Dusk Till Dawn was the movie that kickstarted his movie career. And I mean, when you look at the movies that he did like at that time and everything, so like I say, you got From Dusk Till Dawn, which is his reintroduction to the big screen, which is kind of insane when you look at it. You think that's the movie that he kicked things off again with. And then he does, and it's funny that both of these movies came out in the same year. So yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn in 96, you had One Fine Day also in 1996, which is a favorite of mine too, which I'm probably going to do on the podcast at some point. Then you get Batman and Robin in 97, which I covered on the podcast when I did Batman Month. The Peacemaker also in 97 with him and Nicole Kidman. And then you get this movie in 1998, and he's off to the races after that. It's like George Clooney, movie star. But I feel like this movie is a perfect blend of what you got from the characters that he portrayed from, I would say, from Dusk Till Dawn to the Peacemaker. It's like those characters all kind of meshed into one singularity character here of Jack Foley, and everything, with how he is, charismatic and everything. George Clooney, people kind of forget George Clooney was like that dude for a number of years, and I feel like this movie really sells it, for the most part. And then of course he goes on to be Danny Ocean and do a whole bunch of other things like that, but I feel like Out of Sight is where it truly begins, like, to really skyrocket. And the fact that he plays Bruce Wayne Batman before this, but it's not the best. It's like if he would have played this, like if he would have been like Jack Foley-ish as Bruce Wayne, I think. But then again, that movie is like a whole nother thing. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts about that, you can definitely go back and check out that episode where I did Batman and Robin a while back on the podcast and everything. And then, like I say, Jennifer Lopez, she was just really getting started, as far as her forte into movies and things of that nature. Here, looking at her filmography from back then is very interesting, and you see like the turn that she takes as far as going from just being like a, she's in this, she's in that, and then it's like, oh, she's Jennifer Lopez. And you can actually see where it starts. I mean, even though she had done some TV stuff as far as shows similar to George Clooney, that was on TV. She was a fly girl on Living Color, and then she was on South Central. If people who remember that show, it was only on for one season, but she was in a few episodes of that. And then in 95, she does Money Train with Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson also. And then the following year, she does Jack with Robin Williams, and we don't talk about Jack, and everything. She does Blood and Wine in 98, and in 96, I'm sorry. And then 97, she does three movies that came out in 97. She does a little movie called Anaconda with Ice Cube. She does this little movie, I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of this, called Selena, the biopic about Selena, which really, thrust her into the spotlight. And then she does this wild, crazy, insane freaking movie. Another movie that I'm probably going to do on the podcast. I want to do this movie at least before the year ends. And I'm talking about U-Turn in 1997, which also features another insane cast and everything. And then in 98, we're here with Out of Sight. So if you look at her and George Clooney, their careers before this movie, they almost kind of take similar paths as far as they started out on TV. Well, kind of doing bit stuff, and then they started out on TV and got notarized. And then they make their crossover into like the big screen, and they kind of build up, and they both have that linchpin movie that really sets it off for them. Selena is the one that really sets it off for Jennifer Lopez. And I would say probably you could either argue From Dusk Till Dawn or even One Fine Day for George Clooney before this movie. Jennifer Lopez at this point probably had a little bit more bigger hits than George Clooney at the time. When you really think about it, if you really look at it, she had a few more bigger hits than he did, to a degree up to this point. But this movie is a significant turning point for both, I feel like, in their movie careers and everything. But like I said, it's kind of crazy when you look back at that time. And the fact that this movie, it has a great mix of action, tension, it's stylish, and the chemistry between the characters of Jack and Karen in this movie is, I think, what adds to it. And the fact that George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez actually had some really good chemistry together in this movie. So now that I've kind of talked a little bit about the movie and everything, we're going to get ready to actually hit play on this thing and get this thing going, and sit back for a little while and talk about good old Out of Sight. So like I said, if you are watching along as while you're listening to this episode, like I say, the 18-second mark, and everything. Like I say, just get it to 18 seconds, and we're going to hit play together. So kind of give everybody enough time, to be ready and everything. So we're going to do this countdown. It should be at the universal logo as as it's about to come up is basically where you should be. So I'm going to do this countdown from 5. And when I say press play, everyone hit play. So here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Press play now. And there's the logo, universal and everything. You don't get the old logos like it used to. They made a whole bunch of updates to them or whatever. But it is what it is. So like I say, 1998, Out of Sight. Came out June 26, 1998, actually. And everything. And I like how this movie kind of kicks off with the whole stop motion as far as the intro go. And this almost looks like the street that they had that shootout in Heat from right here. And you got Jersey Films production, which, for anyone who don't know, that's involving Danny DeVito, and everything. And there's Jack from what the fuck? Like, I always loved it. like he furious. Like, damn, what, he got turned down from a job interview? More on that later. So he's like, all right, let me go over here to this bank real quick. That walk, like, that man, that's a man walking on a mission. Let me run here in this traffic like I'm John Shaft or whatever. Yeah, all right, let me get over here. Get the hell out of my way. And this whole thing with the lighter, I remember seeing this. I always wanted to get a lighter so I could try to do this trick and everything. Because it's weird, like he can snap his finger and it lights the lighter. And it's like, what kind of mess is this? And the fact that Jack Foley is a bank robber and he doesn't use a gun, because one thing that Jack is very good at doing is being able to convince people. And we're about to see him convince this woman, this poor nice lady, Loretta, and everything. And he never really gives eye contact. He just basically creates a scenario and he lets it play out. And it says, hey, you see the man with the briefcase? He got a gun and he's gonna shoot you, mister. And she like, what? Like, wait a minute. Like, are you serious? And then you just get that smirk like, yeah, I got you. And she like, oh shit. Like, I don't get paid enough for this shit and everything. But I thought it was kind of interesting too that the guy that's sitting over there with the briefcase and everything, he looks very much like Quentin Tarantino. And it's like, oh, they kind of riffing on the fact that you got George Clooney and this Quentin Tarantino looking dude that could easily be Richie and Seth Gecko from Dusk Till Dawn and everything. And the fact that he goes there, he gets this woman to take all these bills, like nothing from the bottom. Like, I know how to do this. It's like, oh, this your first time being robbed? Oh, you're doing great. Just smile, act like it's a normal day. And she's like, you son of a bitch and everything. But one of the things about it is, like, George Clooney has this good gift of, of persuading people. And one thing I like about how Steve Soderbergh, the director, how he frames his scenes and everything, and how everything just kind of everything's close. Kind of similar to what I was talking about on Speed episode. It's similar to what John DeBont did as far as everything being close up and everything, which you don't really get a lot of like things like this and everything like that. But I'll come back to that in a minute. So he walks over and it's like, oh, she's cute, isn't she? And Bud's like, huh? Who the hell? And he looked like, what the hell was that? So I always wondered, like, after Jack leaves the bank deal, they go over there and hoist that man up, and then he's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? And or whatever, because it's like, okay, he uses him as cover, as him being like his partner and everything. So clearly after he leaves the bank, Loretta probably was like, the bank just got robbed and he's in on it, he got a gun. It's like they probably went over there to try to hoist this man, and they probably figured out, no, he's not he's not who he thought he was. Oh, this was a scam. And then, of course, he gets in this fucking car and it don't start because he riding a piece of shit Honda. It's like, come on, god damn it. Son of a. Here comes the security guard. Oh, he'll think you flooded. Damn it. I'm like, shit. It's like, but yeah, like Steve Soderbergh with the way he framed his scenes and the freeze frames and everything, like say being close up. And it's just something about like how certain filmmakers, how they make certain movies. Glades Correctional Institution, Belle Glade, Florida. Now, and I'll just say this is another reason why I like this movie. Me being in Florida, I am actually probably like an hour away from Belle Glade. Depending on how fast you drive, maybe an hour and a half. And everything. The hell, George Clooney out here. And this ain't no damn white man can't jump. The hell you doing out there? Or better yet, he in the same yard with Paul Crew and the boys in the longest yard. Like, let me get the hell out of here. I'm too old for this shit. But yeah, like I'm not too far away from Belle Glade, Florida. But the fact that it was Glades Correctional, and I believe they actually did film in Glades and everything. Like the old timers, like boy, they probably been there since the 60s. Like what the fuck? Jack, like man, that could be me. Like I want to be that old sitting up in here. Like I gotta get the hell out of here. But yeah, I thought it was cool that they filmed some of the scenes in Belle Glade, actually here in Florida, and everything. Which ironic, Jennifer Lopez is actually in a couple of movies that have filmed here in Palm Beach County, in Florida. Because Parker, she filmed at the Breakers Hotel, which is here in West Palm Beach, Florida. Well, Palm Beach, Florida, depending on how they say it or whatever. So I've never really read any of Elmore Leonard's books or anything, but because of this movie, because of Jackie Brown, and because of Justified, I learned quite a bit about Elmore Leonard and some of his stuff, and I probably should. That might be on my list of things to do this year, is to read one or two Elmore Leonard books just to see how it relates to like the films, based off of his books and everything. So here we got damn Luis Guzman with this. Which is interesting. Luis Guzman he would show up in a lot of freaking movies in the 90s, just pop up randomly. And he kind of still does, like, pop up randomly. Not as much as he used to, but you don't get actors like him anymore who, just literally pop up and we was like, oh, I know that face. Like, oh, here he is. Like, oh, that's the no good that set up Carlito at the end of Carlito's Way, or whatever. But, yeah, so we kind of get this whole thing of where Jack is in prison and, like, oh, so y'all getting ready for this escape or whatever. It's like, it's quite a long ways to Miami, but hey, let's see how y'all do. Yeah, you send me a postcard when you get out. So, and here we are introduced to Catherine Keener, Catherine Keener, she's another actress who shows up in a lot of stuff. And it's funny, like, she can be a very funny actress, or she can be like a cold stone, character or whatever. Especially if you watch the Sicario movies, how she is in that. But seeing her here and playing this character of Adele Daisy and everything, and this fit that she got, it's like Catherine, Catherine got that little thing on her, But anyway, I'm not gonna go down that road too much. But she do look good though. Anywho, stay focused. So here, yeah, Jackie's calling her. I'm looking forward to Super Bowl Sunday and everything. You just having casual conversation, but you're not really thinking about what he's talking about. You just thinking, oh, it's just a casual conversation. It's 6:30. That's like a few hours from now. Because basically what it is, he's telling her like, no, because he plans on breaking out. He's using what Chino and Lulu is doing as far as trying to break out. He's got his own thing going, and brings up about how he's planning on breaking out. So he's using someone else's plan to construct his own plan and everything, which is kind of smart when you think about it, because no one's looking for him necessarily when the whole thing goes down. And you get mentioned about freaking Glenn Michaels, and Glenn is going to be a very interesting character to talk about during watching this. And here we got good old Ving Rhames himself, trying to break into somebody's car in the damn parking lot. Like, this big black dude in the parking lot, he don't look suspicious at all. So, oh man, I'm gonna help you with your groceries. All right. It's like, don't be expecting no tip, because I ain't asked for your goddamn help. Oh no, it's all right. I'll just take your car. And it's like, what world does this dude steal this woman's car and he ain't on the 5 o'clock news, before he even gets the Glades or whatever? And then we have the introduction of Jennifer Lopez, good old Karen Cisco, and her dad, played by Dennis Farina. Oh, a SIG song. He's like, yeah. That's a dope gun. You're going to have to use this. Like your dad. And like, looking at like Dennis Farina and everything, he was always one of those actors too. Like, it's funny, he was a cop in real life, and then he transitioned to acting, and his first role in a movie was playing a damn a henchman in Michael Mann's Michael Mann's Thief and everything. He plays a henchman in that and gets into a shootout with James Caan at the end of that movie, and then his movie career takes off from there. And like, he was one of those actors, like, I always enjoyed him in different things. Whether he rarely played a good guy, but he was always very good at playing a bad guy, even though he was a Chicago cop for a long time before he got into acting. And it's like, her dad, he trying to give us some advice. Like, don't be wasting your time with these no good cowboy cops. Like, you need to settle down with somebody worse something. Like, what you doing? Like, look how you look. Like, you too good to be dealing with the silly shit. Plus, you my daughter, and I don't want no dude. I might have to use that gun I just gave you on something no good if that's the case. And it's funny, like, every year around Super Bowl, I always make the joke about, the date got changed to 6:30 Super Bowl Sunday. And I always make that joke with certain people. Some people get it, some people don't. And everything. So here we back at the fact, okay, why the hell they named the security guard this guard Pup, which I never understood. And it's like, see that? I don't see nothing. Like what the hell going on out there? So everything, and the fact that this movie, it moves very quick, because we kind of get to the action very quick and everything. And let's say you got, so I forgot exactly why Karen is pulling up to the prison, but I think she was coming to meet somebody. And this is Ray Nicolette. And like I say, if the name Ray Nicolette sounds familiar, that's because if anyone who saw Jackie Brown that came out the year before, got Ray Nicolette in there. So she pulls up, she's on the phone trying to call him. And then who pulls up right directly behind her? Good old Buddy in the stolen car. He just sitting there. It's like, what the hell Buddy doing there? Like, this son of a bitch, he ducking my calls. Like, all right, got something for his ass. Like, yeah, just keep looking. Yeah, you just keep looking. You'll find what you're looking for in a second. Yeah, hey, hold this for a second. Whop. So, like, what the hell is that? Damn gophers out there? Like, what the hell? So imagine you sitting out there in like a prison parking lot or whatever, and you looking, you see this, like, you probably had the same reaction she had. Like, what the fuck? Like, oh shit. Bud's like, oh shit. Hey, by the gate. Boy, them boys look like they've been crawling through the same tunnel that damn Andy Dufresne crawled out of. Ugh. So they run off into the night, carrying her. She going to the trunk. And Buddy's like, wait a minute, what the hell is she doing? She getting the equalizer. So it's like she ain't playing around. Like Karen doesn't. So here come these two, and these two some da 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 da. Oh well, dead. Here come the guards and everything. They're like, what the hell going on here? And like I said, how does nobody know this Ving Rhames big ass tipping up on somebody? Ugh. So goddamn Donald, self-defense. And she looking like, nah, something ain't right. Goddamn jailbreak. Hey, buddy. I mean, I know everything is going on, but the fact that they don't see that these two dudes that hoisted this woman and running off, put her ass in the trunk. I mean, when you think about it, who wouldn't want to be locked in the trunk with Jennifer Lopez? But at the same time, you know George Clooney smelled crazy in that trunk. And like I said, this has always been like one of those scenes that whether if you've seen the movie or not, you probably know of this scene, like the two of them in the trunk and they just having like casual conversation. And Jack is like, he's looking her up and down, literally. He's like, damn, pretty, ain't you? Like, all right. Like, where your gun at? Not realizing, oh, she put the box with the gun that her dad gave in the trunk and everything. And the fact that she just being real cool and looking at that ass like, yeah. Jack Foley say, all right, hey, you working with something? Like, you know, I've been locked up for a little while. You know, I ain't had nothing in a while. If I gotta force myself on you, I said, I've never done that day in my life, but for looking you right now, shoot. Like, yeah, exactly. They ain't looking for no white man and a black man driving no Ford. They looking for a couple of Latino fellas. They ain't even looking for me. They ain't gonna realize I'm going until they do a sale check. And Buddy like, Karen Cisco, like, oh shit. Like, of course we kidnap a federal marshal. And some of the looks that Ving Rhames give throughout this movie is priceless. But I like the fact that he's like the moral compass to Jack's somewhat wild man in this. Now he trying to show off. You know, when they say you're trying to show off for trying to impress the hoes. That's basically what Jack is doing right now. Oh, the FBI, they told me I robbed more banks than anybody they had on computer. Like, yeah, baby, look at my stats right quick. And the way they very casual with each other, because you would think that like if he wasn't a bank robber, she wasn't a federal marshal and everything, like they just having regular conversation, two grown-ups or whatever, and like she just being real cool. She ain't getting overexcited or whatever. Jack, he just talking because he feel like I got this Riz and everything, I can like it tapping on the hip, like, yeah, like that's soft, ain't it? And I said they just chilling. Oh, Pahokee. 5 miles to Pahokee. And then they bring about Bonnie and Clyde. And it's like it took them a real, Clyde Barron. Bonnie and Clyde. Yeah, okay, yeah. It took Jack a real letter, because you never really hear Clyde's last name is always Bonnie and Clyde. So when she said Clyde Barron, he's like, "Who the fuck is Clyde Barron?" You can see it on the film, like, "Who the fuck?" And then talk about network. Yeah, ain't gonna take more of your shit. Peter Finch. Yeah. I'm not gonna take any more of your shit. Something like that. Yeah, he's screwing up the line. And she just like, "Oh, this son of a bitch. Yeah, he just talking. He don't even know." And she look at him like, "What the fuck?" But like, be cool. Don't turn around. Karen looking like, "Damn, you smell crazy." But you, I mean, you look kind of cute though. But you smell crazy. And you escaped from prison. Ew. She probably think, "Oh, this the kind of guy my dad was talking about." Lee Jack. If we met on a different circuit, the man really trying to, like Faith on the way it was in 3 Days of the Condor. And that's something about movies I like too. Like when they throw stuff in there like this, where it's like it's based in reality, because they're talking about real movies to make it feel like this movie is set in the real world. Because they're talking about Bonnie and Clyde. They're talking about Network. They're talking about 3 Days of the Condor and everything. Oh, we here. All right. So Jack shooting. Oh, clap. Oh shit. Do. She ain't coming with us. You crazy? Karen Cisco kid, only spelled different. You hear about like jailbreaks and stuff like this, but I'm pretty sure you don't get You don't get jailbreaks like this happening in real life, where somebody breaking out of prison, they kidnap a federal marshal, and she looked the way Karen looked and everything, and you get kind of this romance that kind of brews out of it. I highly doubt you get anything that plays out like this. Like, oh shit. So there's Glenn Michaels, played by Steve Zahn, and that nasty mustache that he wearing this. And it's like Steve Zahn. It's like you had a lot of actors who shows up in this that of them now and everything, but they were relatively still kind of making their name for the most part by the time we get to this movie, like in their careers. Because Ving Rhames had been in quite a few things before then. Of course, Pulp Fiction, Mission Impossible, probably the two biggest movies he had been in before this. But he's here. You got George Clooney, who was on ER. He played Batman and everything. You got Jennifer Lopez, who played Selena. She was in Anaconda. She was on In Living Color. Steve Zahn, around this time, he probably was best known for being one of the cast members of That Thing You Do, and a few other stuff. Why does he run like that? Jesus. So you had later on we get Isaiah Washington showing up. We get Don Cheadle and everything. Like I say, a lot of actors who went on to have very good careers or even iconic roles in other projects all happen to be in this movie together, and they all get their moments to shine in this movie too, at different points. Like, somebody give me some clean clothes, man. I smell like hell, and I was in the trunk with this woman. She probably think I'm filthy. Like, what's your problem? Like, here go Buddy be in the voice room. His idea, a vacant lot for a head, talking about he had an idea. Yeah, he talked to me. Give me your jacket. Sound like Smokey. Like, yeah, he told me to shut up, but when you leave, I be talking again. Exactly what he sound like right now. And I call bullshit on Karen doing this maneuver because, I mean, when you look, no, I'm not even gonna go down that road. I'm not. At least I'm gonna try my best not to. I'm gonna try not to focus on Jennifer Lopez so much in this movie, even though she does look really good in this movie. Like Karen, like, I know you. You're Glenn Michaels. I drove you to. No, that's not what I'm thinking. Oh yeah, cause Glenn, he don't even realize it. Yo, we met before last fall. I drove you to the Palm Beach County Jail. What? He's like, oh shit. Like, Glenn really thought that he knew this woman, like, oh, they met at a club or something. Like, come on, Glenn. Like, really, you think you be in the same spots that she rolled in? And what's funny about this is, like, when you go to the scene of where Jack and Karen is in the trunk and how he's talking to her and everything. Look at how she's talking to Glenn. It's very similar. They are very similar in the way how they talk and manipulate with people. And everything. Man said, give me some clean clothes. He literally take off the jacket. He got on his filthy prison attire still on. He's still dirty. So it's like, give me some clean clothes. Get you some clean clothes, motherfucker. Like, you better go to a damn Ross or something to get you some clean clothes. Like, what you talking about? And they then took off. Like, wait a minute. Like, what the freeze. And that's another thing too with Soderbergh and with this movie, like how you do, is make it almost feel like it's like a graphic novel or comic book panel where it transitions to the next thing, and then we get a flashback 2 years ago at Long Park. Boy, Glenn in these damn shades. And you can clearly tell that's a wig that Steve Zahn is wearing. So here we're being introduced to how we got to where we are 2 years later, with all of them being locked up in prison together. And the fact that Maurice Miller, Snoop, Don Cheadle, it's like he's this big, and which is weird. He's this big time, probably like this crime dude or whatever, but he takes these dives in these bullshit fights, basically. Yeah, you the man. Yeah. Like, they're talking with the Aryan Brotherhood. Like, yeah, clock that. Yeah, he just brag. And look at Snoop. And then they like, oh, that motherfucker think he think he the great white hype. Boy, what the hell is that on Albert Brooks' head? Well, I should say, what is that not on his head? Dick the Ripper, boy. Being called Dick the Ripper in prison gotta be a wild name, but I digress. So the whole thing too is that you got this somewhat banker who is in prison for basically being like Bernie Madoff and everything, and doing the things that he's doing, and everybody pretty much knows who he is, but he's under the protection, I put quotation marks like that, he's under protection of Maurice Miller, with the incentive that when you get out of jail, that he got these diamonds or whatever and everything like that. Because he's not in, because the thing is, Ripley is not in prison for a long time. They doing some years and stuff like that, but he's only in there, I think, for like 18 months, I believe is what it said. And I thought it was kind of interesting too how this movie is told non-linear in a lot of fashion. Like, you get the current stuff and then it flashes back. Like, everything that we saw up to this, well, I should say the beginning is actually a flashback, but we don't know it's a flashback until, we get to a certain point and everything, that everything up to that point is actually retelling up to current day. So I thought it was a bold choice for Steven Soderbergh to tell the story very non-linear, because if you're not paying attention, you can very easily get confused when watching this movie because of the fact that you don't know exactly when current and when the past is with certain stuff. I mean, you can kind of tell it based off, like, here we know that they're not locked up in prison because Jack just broke out of prison. So here we go. Buddy was talking all that in the yard, and now they got to make this move on it. Stab, stab, stab. Keep it moving. It's like, no, don't stop and what? No. Keep walking. Like, yeah, exactly. You won't be answering questions. Like, no questions. Look at him. Bleeding out. So then we fast forward back to current day. See, so like I said, that's one thing the movie does. It kind of jumps back and forth, and especially with action movies or even crime movies like this, more so is it's a bold choice to make that move and everything to do that. Because like I said, it's very easy to get misled as far as when is exactly is everything happening. So probably one of the, if not the biggest talked about scene, is this scene here where Jack is like, I can finally relax and take a bath because I smell like hell. And then you got Karen pulling up and everything. Like, oh, the door's open. Like, all right. Okay. Like, yeah, it had me locked in my trunk. Don't forget your ass. And, I'm not going to say that there aren't any, federal agents that don't look like Karen Cisco, but I'm pretty sure more than that. There's not, if there are any, there's a small amount that probably look anything the way Jennifer Lopez looks as Karen Cisco. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, I'm pretty sure there aren't a lot that look like. She's like, okay, I can work with this. So she come easing in on him while he laying in the bathtub. Any last words, punk? I should look at him like that. Like, come on, Jack. Like, yep, that's all me, baby. Oh, hi. It's like, wait a minute. It's like, wait a minute. Was she in on this the whole time? Boy, but like I said, I remember people losing their minds when this scene came about, because you got George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez and in the bathtub and all this, and it's like, what the hell is happening there? And she put that gun, Karen, hey. She's like, huh? So you trying to figure out, well, how the hell she end up in the hospital? Because the last time we saw her, she was getting driven away by Glenn. So how the hell she end up in the hospital? So like I said, it's another thing. The movie does an interesting thing of playing with time, and you get a lot of stuff being told back opposed to actually seeing it in real time. She got that nasty knot on her head. Like, like, who bopped you in the head? It always like the exchange too, because he come in like, oh, he the FBI. He like, I don't give a damn. Like, you think you the only one that got caught? Here's my card, motherfucker. Like, you ain't nobody. Like, shoot, we should have had a story told about Marshal Cisco and like what he was doing, because I know he was a private investigator at this point, I think. At least that's what I always assumed, because he was a cop. And then I think as he got older, when he retired, he became a private investigator. Like, it made me wonder, was he moving around with Raylan Givens? Because for anyone who don't know, especially with the whole Justified thing, Raylan Givens is one of Elmore Leonard's more popular characters. Thankful to the TV series Justified and the reboot Prime Evil, which I hope that we get another season of that, especially with how Prime Evil ended. But I think with the success of Out of Sight and the success of Justified, Karen Sisco and Raylan Gibbons probably became like his two most popular characters because of this movie and that TV show. And boom, and crashed into the damn meeting. Like, she hit her head. That's how she ended up with that nasty knot. And Glenn like, oh, like, hey, no, man, I'm out of here. Like, this mother. So yeah, like I say, so you basically getting everything told from a point of view. So it's like it makes you as the viewer kind of question, okay, what exactly is real and what isn't, because you're getting everything kind of secondhand and only from one perspective. With a lot of things, and a lot of that plays into how the story is told. And I always hated this character because it's like, oh, so you in the trunk and everything, so, and you're talking about movies. Like, I wasn't talking, he was talking. I'm just there. Like, literally, he got me pinned down. Like, how am I supposed to move? You get in the trunk, you tell me how you supposed to move. And then you get the whole thing brought up about, oh, this ain't the first time that she's been in a situation with, a suspect that she kind of had a thing for. So that's kind of Karen's kryptonite, of where good looking dudes that happen to be criminals, Karen has this tendency to kind of roll with it, and he kind of brings this up. And here he is, oh, I've been with the FBI for 15 years, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but have you ever pulled your gun? You have to know what you're talking about. Like, yes, like, don't, look at Marshall like, that's right, baby. But it's like, yeah, he trying to talk her down. Like, if she don't, oh, she's just this pretty faced woman, she don't really know or understand, this is a man's thing. And I always hate stuff like that, especially when the person that's doing it don't even know what the hell they doing or even know what they talking about. So I always like that scene of how she kind of handles him. She handles him very nice, and the fact that her dad is standing in the doorway watching the whole time is just hilarious. And freaking Albert Brooks in this. I mean, it's funny, like, at this particular point in time, Albert Brooks is probably the most established actor of the entire cast, with Dennis Farina coming in second. And to have him a part of this and everything, because it's interesting, Albert Brooks is probably best known for being more like a comedy actor. I mean, granted, he was in Taxi Driver and some other movies before this and everything, but mostly he was known for doing comedy stuff, or but he would dabble in being in like crime and more drama stuff over the years. And then of course with Drive, I mean, that's the movie that got him an Oscar nomination and everything. But here his role, he's not the villain necessarily, but he is a villain. It just, he's a very, I would say, you have two villains. One who's outright like, no, I'm the bad guy, and Snoopy, played by Don Cheadle. But then you have Albert Brooks, who's more like, oh, I'm just this, kind of meek guy and everything. But in the core, especially towards the end of the movie, at the core, he is a villain. He's just an undercover villain. And I thought that was very interesting. And I'm not sure if that was done on purpose or if that's just how it kind of played out. I feel like it was done on purpose, to where you have, because like here, he's playing very timid and everything, but that's because he's not in his element. He's in prison. This isn't his realm. But when we see him in his element and everything, he's very meticulous and very, very cruel. Because he basically leaves his woman, to basically get raped or whatever. But like I said, I'll talk about when we get there. But the way he kind of plays, very meek here to Maurice, I mean, it kind of goes with, because what he says here about, like, he could fall on something like hard, like a shell on my dick, and it's like, wait a minute, so you gonna rape this man? Like, ugh. Which says a whole lot about the character of Maurice Miller. Coming to big bad. Ranked number 32 in the federal prison. Out of what, 32? 32 out of 20. Like, hey, God. What the hell going on in here? Why he on the floor? Hey, man, reading the fundamental shit. They got crazy, All right, get y'all ass up out of here. Like, oh, Maurice, we cool on the fish. Oh, yeah. And I always hated to see, like, the fish didn't deserve this. Like, why would you? Oh, man. And that's how you do the shape, partner. Damn. Fish didn't deserve that. And it's funny, too, that picture that they use of George Clooney is the same picture they use of him from Dusk Till Dawn. Jack, what are you doing? Huh? Oh, it's in the pool. It's all good. But yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting because, again, they kind of playing up the From Dusk Till Dawn thing here. What was crazy about it, Jack, he do all this to get out of prison. He supposed to be working on the thing that they working on, but he can't keep his mind off of Karen Cisco. And can you really blame him? I mean, looking the way she looked, can you truly blame him for that? And one thing too I like about this movie is, like, most of the movie is taking place in Florida so far. So we haven't really gotten out of Florida just yet. But look how bright it looks. But then when they make that transition and everything, it's like, yeah, you can tell you ain't in sunny South Beach anymore. You're in cold ass Detroit or whatever. But so here comes Ray Nicolette and everything. I apologize if you can hear that in the background because apparently at this time they need to be making their rounds with this freaking leaf blower or whatever. So you got Ray Nicolette. So he's in Miami. And it's interesting because Ray Nicolette, here he's FBI, but in Jackie Brown he's ATF, but it's still the same character. So it makes you wonder what exactly time period is both movies will be taking place. And I always like how Dennis Farina plays it here. Like, he literally, like, see, he called it. It's like he's in control and everything. And he's almost like he's still a part of the police force with the way he's talking. So they trying to figure out where exactly everybody is and everything. But they talking about Chino and everybody else, but she focused on Jack. So it's kind of funny. Like I say, both characters are like opposites of the same coin, where they pretty much act like each other. I'm like, oh, Karen, this for you. Hello. Hi. Who is this? You know who this is? Like, imagine that. Like, so you get somebody's phone number in the club or whatever. You call them not realizing they married. So, Ray. Yeah. It's like I said, Marshall ain't no good. Man really ain't no good in the way, because he really don't like Ray. Like, you ain't good for my daughter. But it's like, who's better? Is it Ray Nicolette for her, or is it Jack Foley? One's a FBI agent who's a cowboy, as Marshall says, or is it the bank robber Jack Foley? And the way they basically flirting with each other, and it's like as if they know who they are. Says he misses little girl. This thing ain't no boom on the couch.
That's how you score, huh? I guess. And it's like Ray is too oblivious to what Marshall's really saying to her, because it's like, I don't like you and everything. I really don't. I don't want you to be with my daughter and everything, because it's just something about you. I can tell, like, you one of those type of guys. Like, well, if I like, shoot, man, hey, baby, look, you can come with me. Like the guy who cheats on his wife. Huh? Because the whole thing is Ray Nicolette's supposed to be married, but he fooling around with Karen. That's another reason why her dad don't like him. And Marshall pretty much like putting him in his place. Good talking to you, Ray. Like, yeah, I know all about you, brother. So they showing pretty much Chino and all his crew done got gunned down. Well, not Chino. His whole crew, including his boyfriend Lulu, got gunned down. But Chino got away. And then the whole thing about Adele comes up like, well, yeah, you know about Adele, Like, what? Yeah, I might have mentioned, Adele, magician. So it's like Chino blame Ray. Not Ray. Chino blamed Jack for basically his crew getting gunned down. So his revenge is to go pay Adele a visit. I guess eye for eye, but it's like Jack didn't have nothing to do with that. This is Adele. Like, what? What the hell is that? Man looking like a damn low rent damn Mario right now. Like, what the hell he got going on? And it's funny seeing clean face Luis Guzman, because he does not look right without having either his mustache, or goatee, some type of facial hair. He don't look right without it. And then too, one of the things I do like about this movie and movies like it is how the music plays a part in it. Like how they kind of, the music, it has its. Yeah, if they don't look like the cops, I don't know who does. But the musical choices help add to the scene. Chad, like, wait a minute, I know they ain't who I think it is. Oh, got a good look. Oh, get a good look. Oh my God. Hey buddy, like, man, look, we got to go. Like, you seen her? We got to go. We talking. Boy, that look like him. Look like that looked like the picture he took making down the perfect storm. Like right before he got swallowed up by that damn wave. Jesus. See, because even Adele said that, like, Buddy is Jack's conscience, even though, Buddy is like the one who keeps him in check, even though they both have gotten caught and everything. But Buddy keeps him on the straight and narrow to a degree, even though they criminals. So Buddy is a bank robber with a conscience. What the fuck is that? Man, talk about sound like a scammer. Let me in the goddamn. I ain't playing no games with you, lady. Oh shit. What the? So the whole thing, and the reason why he gets caught is because he has this obsession with how she do the magic trick of getting sliced up, getting cut in half and everything. And it's like you escaped from prison, and your main thing was to let me go talk to this lady about this, and that's how you get got. I mean, got no rights. Like, what are you talking about? So she called Daniel, and it's like, here come this wet blanket. Ah! So here we go with them basically getting ready to leave and go to Detroit. And then you got the whole task force pulling up. Like, all right, man, nervous. Yeah. Boy, they on the third floor, and this lady says 2. in a weird way, this old lady actually saved them from getting caught. So the fact that they thinking that they haven't showed up yet, that they're on their way there, not realizing that they are getting ready to leave so they can go to Detroit. Karen said in the lobby, she looking like, what the? And Jack like, hey. Jack wanted to get out that elevator. Hey. Boy, that's like, who? Like I say, it's funny too, like how Jack, he has this thing for her, she has this thing for him, and they don't really know how to act on it because she's a cop and he's a criminal. There we go. Damn OGs. But I like how the music, it sets the tone for where they are. Like Miami, you get more of the kind of, that little vibe and everything. Then when they get to Detroit, they set the whole, look at that, Hitsville, USA, Motown. Let's talk about Don Cheadle for a second. So Don Cheadle in this movie, I mean, he's good, but like I say, everyone is good and everybody gets their moment to shine. But Don Cheadle has this gift of where he can be menacing, but also funny at the same time. And a lot of people can't do both equally, but he is very good at that, and he does that very well in this movie. And he can be very deadpan, and this scene in the car is a perfect example of that. And why the hell does Glenn look like damn Jim McMahon from the damn Chicago Bears? Glenn like, wait a minute, how many people you got involved with this? Like, what's going on right now? Jesus. Exactly. Who the hell is this fireman? This man rolling around with a damn fireman suit. And the fact that Glenn is so oblivious to what's really going on, like, you are not in control of none of this. Like, Snoopy has really taken over, and I'm pretty sure if things would have went according to plan, they would have murdered Glenn too. exactly. Like, dude, what? Like, man, we supposed to be going just to rip off somebody, but now you got me prove. I gotta prove that I'm down for it. Like, I gotta go kill this transgender. Like what? Like, wait a minute. What is happening right now? Hey, man, it's my car. You know it's in my car. That's almost like, meeting up with somebody that you went to school with and you knew them a certain way, and then when you see them years later, then it's like, wait a minute, you a completely different person. And it's like, why am I rolling with you? Like, you ain't the same how you was when we was in school. But the funny thing is, in this scenario, Snoopy is exactly how he was in prison. The only difference is he's outside. It's like Glenn like, boy, maybe I shouldn't have left Jack and Buddy. I wouldn't be doing this goofy shit. Glenn, pop. Oh, shades coming off. Glenn really going through it, stressing. So not only do they shoot this person, then they hack him up, and it's like, huh? Why? Why are we doing this? But it's a great contrast to show like the two different crews that Glenn is mixed up with. Because, like I said, if he would have stayed with Buddy and Jack, he wouldn't be stressed out like this. Now he done murdered somebody, saw the person get hacked up. Yeah, definitely with the bad boys now. Yeah, because Kenny don't stick out like a sore thumb at all. Look with his damn fireman coat. Glenn scared to death. Like, man, y'all gotta get me the hell up out of here. Fight for my life. So it's kind of interesting too how Steven Soderbergh, he goes on to do the Oceans movie. You have George Clooney here, and then of course you got Don Cheadle, and this was all the first time that the three of them worked together. Like Glenn, like, oh shit, oops. And it's kind of funny seeing Don Cheadle back in the '90s in the roles that he was in. And then once he got involved with the MCU, and you start seeing the roles that he got in and everything. And I think that's one reason why people talk about like how Don Cheadle once was a certain type of actor. Not, I shouldn't say a certain type of actor, but he's a little bit more worthy of being Rhodey, at least of how he's been portrayed to a certain degree, and everything in the MCU, because certain actors, they have this gift, and Don Cheadle has a gift of where he can be a very menacing dude. He can be very funny. He can be very charismatic. But I feel like it's all about who is the director, who, and the material that he's given to work with and everything. Because when you watch it, like I say, watching him in this, you watch him in, especially in Devil in a Blue Dress, because there's maybe only twice that I can think of where someone stole the scene from, like stole the show from Denzel, and Out of Sight is one of those times where Devil in Blue Dress is like one of those times where, yeah, somebody like stole the show from Denzel, which rarely ever happens, hardly ever, or whatever. So here we got Paul Calderon playing a cop, and it's funny because the cop character that he plays in this is a character that kind of links the Karen Sisco stories to the Raylan Gibbons stories, and he actually reprised his role in Justified Primeval playing this character. So it kind of makes you wonder, is at some point could we have like a crossover with Karen Sisco and Raylan Gibbons? And I remember some years back they did try to do the Karen Sisco show with Carla Gugino playing Karen Sisco. It didn't last long, but I think if it was given the opportunity, if it was given the opportunity to actually shine, I think it could have. I think we could actually have a very good series or whatever, and it would be kind of cool if they did, try it again at least. But it'd be interesting, who could they get to play Karen Sisco, because you went from Jennifer Lopez in the movie, Carla Gugino, who's a very good actress for the TV series, but who could possibly be Karen Sisco, in another updated version of that character and telling stories based around that character. And I've never understood, why does Buddy call his sister every time they commit a crime, and the fact that his sister, calls it in and gets them caught basically every time. Like, what was the deal with that? I'm pretty sure that's something that's probably talked about in the book. Oh, there she is. Look, Viola Davis, Moselle Miller. Look how young she was in this. That damn house coat. Jesus. And like I said, it's funny, like seeing Viola Davis in this movie, at this particular point in time in her career. And then the fact that her and George Clooney are good friends, and they went on to do another movie together, Solaris. I mean, that's a interesting kind of weird. I think Steven Soderbergh directed that also. I didn't look to see. But it'd be kind of cool if if her and George Clooney did another movie together. And looking at her career as it went on and everything, but I always remembered her from this movie, even though she has a small role and everything. But I don't know if anybody thought that her career would become what it became, but you kind of knew she was going. I mean, you kind of knew, and it's always kind of good to go back and see like big name actors very early on in their career. Take your ass to Dot and Edda's and get some shrimp or something. Get some shrimp. Like what? Damn, Isaiah Washington. You know, there's a lot that could be said about him. I mean, granted, how he is, the way he moved now, I mean, there's a reason why he doesn't get talked about. But once upon a time, Isaiah Washington was like, he was a good black actor, and that's kind of what he was known for. Then he gets on Grey's Anatomy, and ironically, playing a doctor and everything. And then, of course, how he ended up leaving that show for wild reasons. But looking at how he moved now, it's like, what happened? You know, and does it start with the downfall with Grey's Anatomy? Is that where it starts? Because is that why he moved the way he moved now? I don't know. But back in the 90s, early 2000s, like, yeah, Isaiah Washington, when you say Isaiah Washington's name, it was like you were saying, you said it with, I wouldn't say you didn't say it with like, ugh, Isaiah Washington, like how it's kind of said now, but back then it was like, oh, Isaiah Washington, like, yeah, he's a good actor. And then, whoop, whop, wah, damn it. We tussled. And the batons is not light. Them things are heavy too. So you get hit in the eye with one of them, like, good grief. And it's kind of funny too, like how all this wild stuff is going on, but they got Jack and Buddy who just calm, cool, planning out what they gonna do, while everybody else kind of just, we just gonna madman and freestyle it basically. Just Glade Correctionals. Still have a choice. So now we get this whole full circle that goes back to why he came out of that building, ripping off his tie, furious, throwing it at the ground. What? He's like, wait a minute, I thought I was here for one thing. I'm here. I'm like, what you got going on? For two regular? Like, what is this? And that's something I always like about George Clooney in movies. He's like, he's always like, his certain characters he plays, always processing, trying to process exactly what's going on. Uniform. Oh. Man, where the hell he at, man? So here's the Richard Ripley outside of prison with his toupee on, sit behind his desk. This is him in his element. This is what I was talking about earlier about the fact that he is a villain, and you don't feel bad that they trying to go rip him off, because this scene basically sets it to be where, no, he needs to get robbed. Today I'm offering you a lousy job with a lousy wage. Show me you can change. So making him a security guard is supposed to make him a better man, a better person. Like, what was he really thinking? pull yourself up by the bootstrap. But boy, if that ain't, if they only knew how that line would sound in 2025. Because that's what a lot of people still had that mentality. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Oh, yeah, what's that? Yeah, the jack got hoisted. All right. So now we come back to when the movie starts off with him coming outside. Like, these sons of bitches. And Jack was so furious. It's like, oh, it's a bank. Let me go see what I can do. So that, I always took it as that scene was to show, like, this is why Jack doesn't feel bad for wanting to rip him off. And he pulls out, oh, look who it is in the paper. So, even though you have Jack Foley and Karen Cisco, they only actually have what? The trunk scene, the dream scene, this scene here, and the end, as far as them actually having real interaction with each other, even though they both are like they are the main leads of this movie. I always thought that was kind of interesting. They don't have a lot of scenes together, but the scenes they do have together, you know, you see why they chemistry was like off the charts with each other. And this scene always pissed me off because these smug assholes come over and they really thought that she was a call girl. Like, really? Like, what is it about her that makes her look like she's a call girl? You know, cold as Detroit, she got on a turtleneck. Like really? What, this is what y'all thought? Or maybe that's how they looked in Detroit, as far as, you know, walking around with a turtleneck on or whatever. Hey, look at this dumpy motherfucker. Depressed. She looked like, what the Like, I didn't ask you to sit down, motherfucker. She looking like, man, like, y'all ain't no Jack Foley, man. Like, get up out of here. Hey, at least he got a little better than the other dude. At least he got to sit down. The one she was waiting for. And like I say, that's what's insane about it. She is chasing him and he's trying to get away from her, but here they are sitting down having a regular conversation like two normal people. So if this movie came out now, I wonder how would it be received? Would it be more like how it's played here now? Because you get more of the thriller element, not so much the action. The action is kind of far and in between, but it's more character driven. You learn about these characters, and the fact that the non-linear storytelling actually helps play a lot into what makes this movie work. But that was in 1998. In 2025, is it playing the same way? Or are we getting a hell of a lot more action? Are we getting more screen time between Karen and Jack together? That it's just the way storytelling is told. And me as a movie watcher, a movie lover and everything, I like stories. I like the way a story is told. And that's one thing that keeps me engaged with certain things. And that's what kind of disengaged me with certain things also, is how the story is told. And I think that's one reason why I enjoy watching this movie. Why I like even, talking about this movie, is because of how it's told, how the story is told. And this here, where this probably might be my favorite of the back and forth of the flashback, and it actually flashed forward, and them sitting at that table, because it's like, okay, they're still at the table, but then it's flash forward into them in the hotel room. And I like the back and forth of it. But like I said, that's a good storytelling element. And Steven Soderbergh has always been good at doing that with his movies. And it's just funny, like now, even thinking about this, I was 12 years old when this movie came out. And everything. But I've always been someone who liked movies like this, like Heat, like Ronin. And I always call it the more mature, movie for grown-ups. Because that's what this is. This movie is a movie for grown-ups. And even as a 12-year-old, I like watching a movie for grown-ups in a way. Granted, I like movies that don't make you think and stuff like that, but watching movies like this have always appealed and intrigued me, because I'm like, yeah, this is good storytelling. This makes better, because you can always do the action. You can always, have the over the top elaborate scenes, but I think it's a lot harder to do stuff like this and keep people invested and interested, because here they just talking. They're talking, but at the same time, they are, showing like, okay, no, we actually about to do this. This is what it's been building up to between these two ever since that scene in the trunk. It's been building up to this moment because they had that instant attraction to each other. And the fact that her dad, even in a roundabout way, he kind of pushes her toward Jack. And it's like, huh? It's like, really? Like this is the type of guy that you think that she should be with. Granted, if he wasn't a bank robber, criminal, whatever, they clearly could just be together and everything. Boy, George Clooney couldn't wait to get in that bed. And then you get the little moody, kind of jazzy music that sets the tone, sets the mood. It's not going to end well for them, but for that split second, for that moment, this is the best it's going to be for them. And you just have to appreciate that. So now Karen's like, back to reality. The hell was George Clooney hit? Boy, Karen Cisco probably had it been in a blender. She like, damn. She knows she done messed up. Huh? He like, wait. The man still trying to process what happened. It's like, wait a minute. Because now that they've been together and everything, now they're coming back to reality. I don't know about that. Because now they both processing. They both trying to process, okay, what do we just do and how do we, because at the end of the day, I have to catch you and you have to get away from me. But at the same time, they want to be together. Yeah, what is going to happen? If it comes down to it, it makes you think about, in a weird way, it makes you think about the scene from Heat. They have been face to face, but one will not hesitate. But in this case, they both kind of hesitate, and I'll talk about that when we get to that part in the movie. So Karen like, what the fuck? Oh, here's your gun back. It's like, oh, he loves me. Boy, look at these fits they got on. Like the same event where Richard Roberts called Frank Lucas. Jesus. And Glenn still wearing that dumbass headband. And why the hell Isaiah Washington look like damn Huggy Bear? What the? Glenn finally had his moment of clarity. And it's like, you know what? I gotta get the fuck up out of here. I ain't about that life. What Glenn is good at doing is boosting cars. That's what he good at doing. He ain't good at doing this other stuff. Boy, Glenn has been scared to death. So she realized, like, nah, something ain't right. Cause Glenn, he crashing out. Yeah, they like shoot and chop it up people. That's what they like to do. Jesus. She basically tell him, like, Glenn, if you want to leave, leave. I'm not stopping you. You know, I like to believe that this is the moment where Glenn had his moment of clarity and got his life together. Damn. Because there's a reason why he was allowed to get away. Because he's the only one in this who gets away clean. So Snoopy decides, oh, we gonna change up everything because this is how he basically, because he wanted to kill Jack. He wanted to kill Jack and collect the reward money. And it's like, why? You really think they were gonna give you the reward money? I have to admit, Buddy was a friend, a true friend. But like I said, that damn fireman coat is ridiculous. So, damn white boy falling, which plays into things later. And Karen just watching. Because one thing about it, like, the tension in this is just building up. Because you know something is going to go down at this house. You just don't know what. But you know it is. And from this point on, like, Don Cheadle is the main villain at this particular point. I mean, Ripley is still a villain, but Don Cheadle is the true villain, and he gives off great villain energy. And everything. And I always felt like what I was talking about earlier about him in the MCU, him as Rhodey, yeah, it works, but he doesn't give off the best energy. I think he probably would have worked better being a villain. But what villain would he have been? I don't know. But he just gives like better energy as a villain, more so as the clean cookie cutter, you know, as Captain James Rhodes, basically. And it's always funny too how Jack is the only one who doesn't use a gun. He never uses a gun. He never uses a gun to do any job. So can't do a movie in Detroit and not have somebody from damn RoboCop show up. And I guess you ain't had nowhere to put Peter Weller, so the next best thing is Officer Lewis, good old Nancy Allen herself. And if I'm not mistaken, this is like the first movie that she had done in a number of years, because she pretty much hadn't did anything, I think, since RoboCop 3 and everything. So seeing her show up here, it's like, it was kind of wild that she was in this, but also too kind of ironic and funny because the movie takes place in Detroit and RoboCop was in Detroit. It's like, this ain't the first time that she done got hoisted and held up by some no goods in Detroit. I mean, old Clarence and his crew in RoboCop, they were some damn no goods. And see, the wild thing about this is that, oh, well, there you go, slipping and falling again. But the wild thing about this is that this is where Ripley's still being a villain, because why would you send this woman to the door and everything? Because it could have been anybody, and it literally turns out to be anybody. Had a scene like Michael Bolton. Don't even know who the hell Schubert is. Can't even spell it properly. Jesus Christ. But that hallway look insane. So they probably in there robbing the house of some diamonds, and this dude decides to take a detour to go raiding the refrigerator for some damn steaks. Foley like, yeah, these the morons that I was telling Karen about. Exactly. What kind of man allowed a woman in? Boy, they robbing everything except for what they went there to go get. Well, Kenny, he trying to rob something else. Boy, he should have got for robbing the damn refrigerator. That man about to murder all three of them. They shoot. They really, boy. Yeah, yeah. This was a well thought out plan that Snoopy had. So we gonna shoot the safe open, not realizing this is a state of the art type safe. Yeah, Midge had to say, "Look, y'all up here with this nonsense. Y'all clearly don't know what the hell y'all doing. So I'm gonna help y'all out a little bit." 31044. Jesus Christ. Safe full of weeks, boy. Yeah, Richard was a madman, but put the damn diamonds in the fish tank, which makes sense because we go back to the scene when they was in prison at Long Park. He had a thing about fish. So just like Heat, he was out. Jesus, but he had to try to do a good thing. And again, they still building towards the tension because you still haven't gotten to the point yet of where, oh, it's not full on action or anything like that. It's just something big is about to go down. Just don't know what. I mean, this is the first part of Jack rushing up there. And this is the first time that he used a gun. So Kenny's at the paint. Ugh, damn. Slap the shit out of him with that gun. Well, Kenny's dead. Damn white boy. So like I said, the whole running gag starts with them leaving the fight about white boy falling and everything. And it pays off in the end. It's played for comic relief. And Karen just tipping. So white boy. Oh, and there you go. Murdered himself. Jesus. Ugh. Jesus. Damn. So like I said, this might be the most action you get in the movie, but it pays off because it's been building up to this point. And Jack can't fight because what the hell is he doing? He beat the shit out of Jack. Damn, Jack. Uh-oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. Damn. Well, Maury's at the paint. Karen? Wait a minute. Damn it. Being just like, what the fuck is going on? But it makes you wonder, why did Jack go back to save Midge instead of just leaving with Buddy? And would you have done it? I don't know if I would have did it. You like to say, oh, I'll do the right thing, and oh, I'll go back and say it, but until you're in that situation, you don't know if you'll do it or not. And like he said earlier, you always got a choice. Even when they pull the gun on you, still got a choice. And he makes the choice of making her try to kill him, but instead she shoots him in the knee. Well, shoot him in the leg, really. She could shoot him, but she didn't kill him. Kind of like, yeah, it took y'all long enough. I did y'all job. And like, I'm bleeding. Chad like, yeah, she do love me. You know she shot me, but she love me. You're like, I can respect it. Your buddy. So Glenn gets away clean. Buddy gets away clean and wealthy. And then her daddy gets still put there, yeah, hey, you know, put him that right, you know, have a nice time talking with him on your way back down, baby. Like, damn, it's cold as shit up here. What you doing here? She wanted to see her man. Hajira Henry. Now, before you got MCU cameos and all that type of stuff, because I always found it funny, like, what the hell is Samuel L. Jackson doing here? And I always felt like, are we gonna get a sequel with this? Because the fact that he just shows up, and this is the only time that Samuel L. Jackson and George Clooney ever was anything together. And it's like, they really could have did a sequel if they really wanted to. Now, would it have been as good as this movie? No one really knows. But the fact that you got Samuel L. Jackson to show up as this uncredited character at the very end of this movie and everything, and the fact that his character is known for breaking out, and the fact that she went out of her way to put the two of them together just so they could break out. And Hajira's like, huh? Like, wait a minute, what y'all got going on? So I don't know what y'all got going on, but I can deal with it. And she just smiling like, yeah, y'all figure a way to get out of here. And then the question is, does she go look for them? Probably not. And then you end it with the Isley Brothers. And that is out of sight. So, like I said, I wanted to do this movie for a few reasons. The fact that, like I say, it is a different take on crime and action movies. And I just wanted to try, do something a little different that goes against the norm, because action can be very suggestive. And it's funny how this movie, it influenced what we would get later on with the Ocean's movie and other Steven Soderbergh films that followed after this. I mean, the dynamic between George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez is off the chart in this movie. And it works great. And it's rare that you get the type of chemistry that they have together in Hollywood anymore. I would almost say that the chemistry that Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld have in Sinners is somewhat on this level, and everything. And hell, not saying I want them to do it, but they did do a reboot or whatever of this, that they could, Haley Steinfeld as Karen Sisco and Michael B. Jordan as Jack Foley, and run it back or whatever. So before I actually end this episode, I want to talk about some of the trivia stuff about this movie. So one thing is that this movie is listed as one of George Clooney's favorite films on his resume. He said it was the first time where I had a say, and it was the first good screenplay I read where I just went, that's it. Even though it didn't go very well at the box office wise, we sort of tanked it, and it was a really good film. Granted, the movie made $77.7 million, and I believe the budget was like 40-something million, but they probably felt like it could have been better. Even though in years past it has been, as years have gone on, the movie is considered a good crime action thriller. Steven Soderbergh has talked about in the DVD commentary, he revealed that the cast members ad-libbed several memorable lines in the script. Don Cheadle wrote the line, in a situation like this, there's a high potentiality for the common motherfucker to bitch out, which is what he's saying when he's at gunpoint when he thinking he about to die, even though Jack's gun is empty and doesn't realize it. The trunk scene was shot 45 times. However, none of those takes were used in the final cut, as the test audience disliked the long take. The scene as it appears in the movie was a reshoot. The character of Jack Foley appealed to George Clooney because as a boy, his heroes in crime film were always the bank robbers. He liked the Cagneys and the Bogarts and the Steve McQueens, the guys who were kind of bad, who were rooted for. And when I read this, I thought, this is a guy robbing a bank, but you really want him to get away with it. And if this movie was made like in the 70s or whatever, Steve McQueen definitely could have played Jack Foley. Now, casting wise, thought this was interesting. Sandra Bullock, Sandy B, almost got the part of Karen Sisco, but director Steve Soderbergh was against it. He said, I spent some time with Clooney and Bullock, and they really did have great chemistry, but it was the wrong movie. I'm sure they could do a movie together, but not an Elmore Leonard movie. Clooney and Bullock appeared in Gravity. Bullock would also appear in Ocean's 8, a spinoff of the Clooney Soderbergh film, because she plays his sister. Elmore Leonard actually envisioned Jack Nicholson or Sir Sean Connery as Jack Foley when he sold the film rights to his novel. Now, I don't know about Jack Nicholson, but Sean Connery, I couldn't have seen Jack Foley, pulling that off. I don't know. Let's see what else here. The prison basketball scene was one of the most difficult for Clooney, as he's quite good at the game, but he had to pretend to be bad. To be bad in front of 500 cons at Angelo Prison in Louisiana absolutely destroyed him. He was so mortified. The scenes at Glaze were filmed in Angelo Prison in Louisiana, where 500 real cons were used as extras. And that's something. Let's see, what else? See, Jennifer Lopez trained for 10 weeks with a real FBI agent learning how to shoot sniper rifles, even though she never uses a sniper rifle in this movie at all. So she learned how to be a sniper and didn't even have to use it in this movie. Catherine Keener was originally slated for the role of Karen Sisko. I think this movie would have been a little bit different if Catherine Keener would have played the part. Granted, she did play Adele and everything, but I don't know if her and George Clooney would have had the same chemistry and everything like that. Let's see. Maurice comments to Miz, the maid, "You're gonna be a dead Hazel," is a reference to the comic strip and later the television show of that name, Hazel. George Clooney actually had to shave his hairline up to make his character look a little bit older. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that's a little bit of the trivia for this movie and everything. I mean, like I said, it's a great movie and everything. And the fact that they did the crossover, like this is set in the same universe as Jackie Brown, tying things together. Like I say, it was doing some MCU stuff before the MCU was even a thing. So I will wrap things up by asking, of course, like I do on all the episodes, I will ask questions for you, the listeners, and everything. Did you watch alone or did you just listen? What's your favorite George Clooney or Jennifer Lopez performance in any movie of this? Like, what's your favorite George Clooney performance? What's your favorite Jennifer Lopez performance? And the final question is: Out of Sight, Soderbergh best film? So those are the questions I want to ask on this episode and everything like that. I want to thank you guys for listening, watching along if you did, or just listening to me kind of talk as I watched Out of Sight from 1998. I enjoyed revisiting this movie and everything. And I mean, of course, you can follow me on all social medias, on Instagram at JMT Podcast, on Twitter X at JMT Podcast, on my personal page, The J Giles, TikTok also at J Movie Talk, on the YouTube channel as well, J Movie Talk. You can find all the episodes as well as different shorts and snippets that I'm uploading over there, as well as over on TikTok. You can find all of the Movie Talk episodes, a part of the TB Zone Podcast Network. Wherever you listen to your podcast, your favorite podcast catchers, just type in TB Zone Podcast Network. You can find us like that. So that's it for episode 334, as I talked about Out of Sight. The next episode, 335, I will be back to talk about a Netflix film, and I'm talking about the recent film that was released on Netflix. I'm talking about Havoc, starring Tom Hardy. That is the next movie that I'll be doing for MayAction. So until next time, thank you guys for listening. I will be back for episode 335 to talk about the movie Havoc. Till next time, peace.